Hello everyone, how are you all? In today's video, we are going to discuss the last lesson, which is one of the most important chapters of class 12th, and this is the first chapter of class 12 CBSE. So my dear students, the weightage of this question becomes very high because it's the very first chapter and the questions basically are asked in your examination from this chapter. The last lesson has been written by Alphonse Daudet. Now, before I just go line by line explanation of this very topic, I would like to say what is the essence of this very title? What is the meaning of this very title? So, my dear students, the last lesson basically says that uh, there is the last class of a teacher named M. Hamel. See here, he is a teacher and his name is M. Hamel, and this teacher has served in a particular school for more than 40 years, and this is his last class. This is his last class. And if this is the teacher's last class, then this will be the student's last lesson as well. This day will be the student's last lesson, Alphonse Daudet. So now try to understand it first. You can say what the main theme. Directly, I'll go on the theme because from here the questions basically come. These are the districts like Alsace and Lorraine in France. Means this story is basically related to France, where two districts were captured, you can say. And my dear students, basically what the theme is, try to understand. Themes of story, dominant theme is linguistic chauvinism, means linguistic domination. Chauvinism is a devotion or a for or against something just based on what you feel, necessarily what you may know. So basically, in my words, if you want to understand linguistic chauvinism, means if you belong to, suppose if you belong to India, then your main mother tongue is what? Hindi. Suppose you are also learning English here. Your Pranav sir is now teaching in English. You can say he is explaining in English, but it does not mean that I don't know Hindi. My dear students, what this very chapter will say that in order to show your originality, your nationality, you must have the knowledge of your mother tongue. In the same way, in France, understood? France Persian War, actually Prussian army defeated the, or you can say defeated the people, or you can say the army of France, and captured Alsace and Lorraine, two districts of France were captured by Prussian army. Now what happens here in France itself, when these two districts were captured, the Prussian army were saying what? That in this region French language will not be taught. French language will not be taught. Rather, which language will be taught? German language will be taught. So you can understand that in these two districts, the people were of France, but the people of France will not be allowed to speak French language, their mother tongue. Rather, they were being imposed to speak German language. So, isn't it that they were, you can say, their chance of being original, you can say, or being national kind of person was being seized here? Means the moment he will be asked not to speak French language, means you can say that his originality or their originality was being seized. Now try to understand by line, my dear students. This will help you more. Okay, now let me open the line by line. Just give me 1 minute time. I'll open it line by line explanation of the last lesson. So my dear students, what happens from here? The line starts. You can better see, or you can also be till the last, because line by line explanation will help you more, my dear students. The last lesson has been written by Alphonse Daudet. Okay, here it is written what? I started for school very late. Let me enlarge it a little bit more. Yes, I started for school very late that morning, and I was in great dread of school, especially because M. Hamel. Who is M. Hamel? M. Hamel here is the protagonist of this chapter, means the leading character of this chapter. At the same time, one boy is also the protagonist of this chapter. What the name is, we will read further. So there is a boy who is saying, boy of France, you can say, French. I started for a school. There is a boy who started for a school very late that morning and was in great dread of a scolding, especially because M. Hamill had said that he would question us on participles, and I did not know the first word about them. My dear students, if you are the students of class 12th, please watch this video till the end. This will really be very much helpful. And if you watch this video till the end, I guarantee you that you will be able to solve all the questions related to this chapter. So the story goes in this way that once upon a time in Elsick and Lorraine, you can say there was a school, it can be a government school, understood, where M. Hamill used to teach, and one of the students, the narrator himself, you can also say, but not Alphonse Daudet, his name has been given, understood, and that I leave for you to put it in the comment box what the name of that boy is. I know, but I want you to put it in the comment section. So I started, the narrator is saying, or the boy is saying that I started for the school. The boy used to read in that school, but he started for the school very late. Means he did not want to go to school. So whenever he used to reach the school, he used to reach the school late. Even today he was going to school earlier or late that morning, and was in great dread of scolding, especially because M. Hamill had said that he would put questions on participles. Do you know participles? In English, also, participle is a grammatical concept. Do you know? Like non-finite verbs have three parts: infinitive, participle, and gerund. So, participle is the part of non-finite verb. Huh. While I will be discussing what non-finite verb is, I'll just discuss what participles are. Okay. And I actually, this boy had no any concept, or you can say knowledge about participles. So this boy, the student, feared that if I go to the school, M. Hamill will scold me and put so many questions related to participles, and I did not know the first word about them. Even he did not know the first word about participle, what participle is, or what participle was. For a moment, I thought of running away and spending the day out of doors. Just like, to be honest, I have also done sometimes in my school times what, that when I did not want to go to school, I did not go to school. Rather than that, I used to wander here and there at the roadside, maybe because of the fear that some of the teachers were absolutely very, you can say, strict, who used to scold me often. So the same kind of feelings this boy had, because this boy does not want to go to school in order to be scolded by the strict teacher M. Hamill. But do you know, the last class, it was the last class of M. Hamill. Still, he did not want to attend his class. How strict he might be. But now the question is, will M. Hamill remain with a strict teacher even today, as it is his last class? Understood? For a moment, I thought of running away and spending the day out of the doors. He thought that no, I'll not go to the school. Rather, I'll run here and there out of the doors. It was so warm, so bright. Means here it is said that sometimes, uh, students also want to enjoy the outside view rather than entering into the same boring classroom, the same school. Understood? I'm not talking about the perception of all the students, but some students are there who get fed up of going to school, and rather they want to enjoy, you can say, their day being outside, exploring the whole city or the town, you can say. Understood? The birds were chirping at the edge means edge, kinara, edge of the woods, and in the open field back of the sawmill, the Prussian soldiers, very important, were drilling, and it was all much more tempting than the rule of participles, but I had strength to resist and hurried off to school. Do you know what happened? My dear students, it is always it is very natural that every person wants to go outside in the market, enjoy the view, enjoy the natural beauty, the sky, the birds chirping, understood this. And it was also somewhere Prussian soldiers were making a camping, they were drilling in order to set there, you can say, camp. It was very clear that Prussian soldiers were able to occupy the two districts of France, that is Alsace and Lorraine, that we will be discussing further. But anyhow, that boy, my dear students, that boy did not want to go to a school. He wanted to enjoy the outside view, but at last he resisted his strength and said, no, I will have to go to the school. Understood? Okay. Next, what happened, beta? When I passed the town hall, there was a crowd in the front of the bulletin board. For the last 2 years of all bad news had come from there. Very important line. What bad news came? The lost battles, the draft, the orders of the commanding officer. And I thought myself without stopping, what can be the matter now? Beta, basically what happens that in some of the cities, basically in foreign, it happens that some areas are there where big bulletin boards are, you can say, installed, and where all the time news, you can say, goes on. So for the last 2 years, this boy always got the bad news from the bulletin board, like the lost battles means France lost this battle, Alsec lost the battle, Lorraine district lost this battle, the draft, the order of commanding officer means what, beta? Means when any battle was lost, the commanding officer will order, like French language will not be taught, rather German language will be taught. As for example, beta, if you just remember about the English days, so the way the English people were capturing our lands of India, how they were imposing their language. I think if you are learning English, it is also the impact of the English people, to be honest. But yes, English has become very important, because if you think it positively, then it has become the common language by which you can communicate with anyone across the world. Okay, so what can be the matter now? This boy wanted to know. Any problem? Next. Then, as I hurried by as fast as I could, the blacksmith, the watcher who was there with his apprentice reading the bulletin, called after me, don't go fast, bub. You will get to your school in plenty of time. My dear students, I think you also know what that some of the people always want to make fun of you. Understood? Some of the people always want to make fun of you, and the way this boy did not want to go to school, even the blacksmith, the watcher, and many other people, understood, many other people wanted to make fun of him, make fun of this boy, that don't go to school, you have plenty of time, like all that. My dear students, let me clear your confusion. The name of that boy is French. Frang, sorry, Frang. The name of the boy is beta French. Is it clear? So this I stands for whom, beta? French. Very clear. The narrator of this story. And French is a young boy in the French region of Alsace and Lorraine in the 19th century. And M. Hamel is the teacher. Understood, beta? Next. I thought he was making fun of me and reached M. Hamel's little garden out of the breath. M. Hamel's garden. M. Hamel was the teacher who was already inside the class, and it was his last lesson. So now you can ask, sir, where was his garden? So actually he was serving that school for more than 40 years. So you can understand that his house also might be near that very school, on the way to that school. So when he reached the garden, when Franz reached the little garden of M. Hamel, so you can understand that Franz was also very much closer to his school. As simple as that. Understood? Next, what happens, beta? Usually when a school began, there was a great bustle which could be heard out in the street. Understood? Which could be heard out in the street. Understood? Okay. After that, what happens? Basically, when you also enter your school, beta, what happens? There is a kind of noise of the students all the time coming, so it's a very good sign. But the moment when you enter inside the school, so many children are also there, so many students are also there, but there is no any kind of noise. means there might be somewhat intense and serious situation in that very school. So the same kind of thing, basically every day there used to be a great bustle noise inside the classroom and in the street even, but today everywhere there was silent. Why? Because there was silence. Why? Because M Hamel's last class was today, it was the last lesson. Understood? Now what happens? The opening and closing of desk, lessons repeated in unison. Lessons repeated in unison. Do you know? Sometimes in any nursery class or KG class or in junior classes, teacher asks the students to recite the same kind of poem in an unison way. In a unison way, in the sense, reciting uniformly, as simple as that, very loud with our hands, our ears to understand better, and the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table. I think this is the natural scenario of any school, beta, where when any noise is being done inside the class, the teacher with a ruler, the teacher with a stick will rap on the table, will, you can say, strike on the table in order to make the students silent. But now it was all so still, but today it was silent everywhere. I had counted on the commotion, the noise you can say, to get to the desk without being seen. But of course, that day everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. Sunday morning means holiday, and holiday inside this on any holiday, beta, inside the school there will not be any students, so there will be silent. But it was the everyday class. It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, means normal class. It was not a Sunday class. It was not Sunday. Try to understand what I am saying. Beta, even in the working day of the school, there was pin drop silence, means, and even French was also waiting that when all the students will be continuously making a noise, so I will not be given attention and I'll go inside the classroom and sit silently. As simple as that. But as there was quietness everywhere, there was silence everywhere, means it was, everything was not going in the favor of this French. Actually French was expecting that when all the students will be silent, then I'll enter into the classroom without being noticed by any teacher, by any student. But this did not happen because everywhere there was full silence. Okay, next. Through the window, I saw my classmates already in their places and M. Hamel walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. Beta, this teacher has been so serious and strict that he always carried a terrible iron ruler, a stick kind of thing, which he used to make the students silent, you can say, or make the students on track. Actually being a teacher, I can better sense this kind of character. Now some of the students who absolutely know me, I am also to some extent strict, but strict, but I am strict a little bit only for my, you can say, well, or only for my betterment of my students, you can say, only for the betterment of my students. Anyway, I had to open the door and go in before everybody. You can imagine how I blushed. Blush means embarrassed kind of feelings, and how frightened I was. Why was French frightened? Because of two reasons. Number one, he was already late for the school. Huh? Number two, M. Hamel was having a strict iron ruler, terrible iron ruler. Number three, he had no any concept which M. Hamel would ask from him. So many reasons were there for him to be blushed even and be frightened as well. Anyway, but nothing happened. M. Hamel saw me and said very kindly, "Wow." M. Hamel said very kindly, "Go to your place quickly, little French. We were beginning without you." My dear students, M. Hamel, who was so strict, but today he said very politely to Franz, who was already late for the school, and M. Hamel said to Franz, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz." With so politeness, you can say, "We were beginning without you." It clearly gives some sense that M. Hamel last class was today, last lesson was today, and he also did not wish to disturb any student or scold any student. He wanted to treat each and every student very politely because it was his last class, my dear students. Next, I jumped over the bench and sat down at my desk. Not till then, when I had got a little over my fright, did I see that our teacher had on his beautiful green coat, his frilled, you can say, worked. This is French, unwilling to go to school. It can be. This is the picture of flamingo. Anyway, he can be. He is what? M. Hamel. Shirt and the little black silk cap, all embroidered, that he never wore except on inspection or prize days. I hope you have understood. Suppose someone goes to party, he wears an old dress or new dress. New dress. Just in the same way, it was M. Hamel's last class. That's why he decided to wear some kind of new dress because it was his last class. So in the new dress, what he was wearing, and at last Franz noticed that he was my teacher M. Hamel was having a green coat, beautiful green coat, and his frilled shirt, means you can say worked shirt, and the little black silk cap he was wearing, and embroidered that, and all embroidered means well carved or crafted, you can say, that he never wore except on inspection and prize days. Inspection and prize days means on any special occasion, like prize days, inspection when he went to inspect in other schools, huh? So you can better understand till here, beta, that M. Hamel was very much sad today as well because it was his last class. How he was sad? Because you can understand that the way M. Hamel said very politely to Franz that take your seat, little Franz. I think he was going against his nature. So only because of his last class, and he himself was very sad and grieved, you can say. Besides, the whole school seemed so strange and solemn. Solemn means beta serious. The whole school was looking strange. Strange how? Because unlike other days where there was commotion, noise, today it was totally silence. So the school was looking strange and solemn, means seriousness was prevailing everywhere. But the thing that surprised me the most was to see on the back benches that were always empty, but today the village people sitting quietly like ourselves. Old Hauser was there with his cornered hat, the former mayor, the former postmaster, and several other besides. Did you understand this? M. Hamel serving that school for 40 years, and more than 40 years, even 40 years it was given, and now it was the time to leave the school. So just to pay a sense of gratitude towards M. Hamel's continuous service, honest service of 40 years in that school, even his old students, maybe that old horse, former mayor, former postmaster, they can also be either the guardians of these students, or they can also be the students of this very teacher, because 40 years is not a small time. Understood? Maybe under his service of 40 years, these people might have been the students once. Understood? Now what happens? Everybody looked say everybody looked sad, means actually in the classroom the back benches used to be vacant, but today the whole class was full house, you can say. But why the back benches were busy? Because at the back benches the villagers were sitting, and among the villagers old Hauser was there, mayor was there, the postmaster was there. But everyone was sad. Why everyone was sad? Because M. Hamel was going to leave that school. Now one more thing, apart from this, I want to tell you what that sometimes you also consider any teacher to be very strict, but because of his honest teaching, you have a deep respect for that strict teacher as well. Understood? And Hauser had brought an old primer, thumbed at the edges, and he held it open on his knees with his great spectacles lying across the pages. Means, to be as simple as that, everyone, even the old hosser, got brought an old primer, thumbed at the edges, and he held it open on his knees with his great spectacles lying across the pages. Means he want means everyone was trying to show a sense of gratitude by bringing something. If you talk about the old primer, and if you talk about the different villagers coming in order to say, pay a sense of gratitude, so these all things were absolutely only for M. Hamel. It was a kind of farewell, you can say. While I was wondering what it all, M. Hamel mounted his chair. M. Hamel mounted his chair, and in the same grave, means serious and gentle tone which he had used to me, said, "My children, this is the last lesson, very important, and this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach," very important line, you can underline it and remember it. The order has come from Berlin that only German language in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine will be taught. Alsace and Lorraine are the two districts of French or France, and in France, French language will not be taught, rather German language will be taught. So how big bad news it was for the people of French or for the people of France, that their own mother tongue was being seized and the foreign language was being imposed, that is German. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. Means M. Hamel is saying a new teacher will come from tomorrow, that will be of German language. Understood? And this is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive. I want you to be very attentive. Means today M. Hamel was asking the other students to be very attentive. My dear students, let it be for today's class, and the rest of the lines I will be discussing in the next video. Now the love for this video will so that whether I should make the another part of this video or not. So if you have understood it absolutely clearly, so make sure to subscribe this channel and share this video to as many students as possible. Thank you everyone. See you all in the next class. Take care.